Currently, at the time of this video, it is 2024. Obviously, for all the guys who are in 2024. But if you're gonna watch this video next year, this video is shot in 2024. My dad has been in prison since like 2012, I think 2013, something like that. And honestly, I grew up my whole life without my dad really being there. I was originally born in Orlando, and then I moved to Atlanta when I was about like 5 or 6. My dad stayed in Florida. And I would go see him over the summers, like some summers, but he was always in and out of jail and stuff like that. So after he got locked up, I think 2012, obviously this is the longest he's been in there because it's now 2024. And I want to talk to you about some of the things that I've now grown to understand, that if these are the things that if you're a man, you probably didn't know that you didn't have these skills, or you didn't know that you needed these things that only a man or your dad can teach you. Because honestly, I never really like cared or noticed that I didn't have a 2-parent household like, everybody else. Not really everybody else. A lot of people don't have, dads, but for the one, like when we watch TV or, as kids, we see like, the dads, or, going to basketball practice, you see like the dads there taking their kids, or, throwing a football with your dad and stuff like that. I never really felt sad about that. I never really had any type of trauma behind that until I got older and I wanted to start to do big things, like start businesses and pretty much step outside of the norm that I was taught. There's things that you just don't realize that you should have had because you didn't have a dad. So the first thing I want to go over is accountability. This is something that your dad is supposed to teach you, especially like every man on the face of the earth needs to have this skill, but it's more important if you're a man that wants to do something special. If you don't want to be like mediocre or below average, you want to do something big, you have to be able to have accountability. Like for example, growing up, your mom can only hold you as accountable as she can. But I mean, sometimes it takes another man to be able to like grab you up and make sure that you really understand the things that you need to be accountable for. Because the thing is that in a traditional relationship, like a woman, the mom, it has to be accountable for completely different things than the man has to be accountable for. So it's hard for her to be able to teach you how to be accountable for certain things that she is not necessarily innately supposed to be accountable for, when the man in the relationship is supposed to be accountable or hold responsibility for these certain things. So when you don't have that dynamic in the household and it's time for you to go out and to be great, you create excuses. You're okay to have excuses. You're okay with bare minimum because mom had to do whatever she had to do. And what she had to do was what it was, but it wasn't necessarily to the greatest ability. And that's one of the number one things, is that like you say you want to be great, and you say you want to start that business, or you say you want to like get in shape or whatever it is. I mean, I had to take some of this stuff for myself, but you make a lot of excuses. Like you spend more time on the game, or you allow yourself to be able to use the fact that you didn't have a dad for the reason why you're not where you were supposed to be. That's not taking accountability. That's called an excuse. And the thing is that like being a man, you need to be able to have the authority and the power that you're supposed to have on this earth. And anytime that you put the blame on somebody else, you automatically strip the power that you have. It doesn't necessarily feel good to admit that you've been effing up, but you have so much more strength in that space because you get to admit that you were effing up, and then go ahead and repent and go ahead and turn and move forward towards the life that you're supposed to be going to. The second thing that I think that a dad is supposed to be teaching you that you probably didn't get taught is to be able to have initiative. So initiative is a lot of different things, but it's really more so initiative in it as far as not being passive. Like typically I found myself to be very passive in certain areas that I should have been a lot more aggressive, not aggressive in a negative way, but really more so meaning assertive. Like we don't get taught how to be able to put your foot down and make sure that whatever you say was gonna do gets done. And then that's another one too, to be able to have impeccable speech, meaning whatever you say, you stand on it. That's another thing that we need to talk about, but really more so like you being so passive and not taking initiative. Like men are supposed to be like fire starters for the family. They're supposed to lead the family. In order to lead, you have to take initiative. That means that if God gives you the vision, you have to start it. And like you don't need to have an accomplice. You don't need to have somebody to cheer you on. You don't need to have somebody to root you on. You need to be able to have the confidence within yourself to be able to move forward. And that's another thing. Without having that dad, sometimes you lack the confidence to be able to create and to be able to start. And if the Bible says that we are made in the image of God, God is the ultimate creator. And this is for, men and women, but really in the case of just speaking as far as like being a leader and taking initiative, you are called to be a creator. In order to create, you have to go out and take the first step and be assertive in certain areas that problems may arise, but you just kind of like have the it is what it is type of mentality. And when you have that is what it is mentality in areas where you're supposed to be assertive, there are repercussions for that. That's not you stepping up and being a man. Like, that's the whole point of like that phrase, is saying that it's time for you to step up. You need to be a man. And what does that really mean to be a man? You don't really know, because you were raised by your mom. And in some people, you may be raised by your grandma. You know what I mean? Like, it's just impossible to be able to be taught that. Like, your mom can do only so much. She can teach you how to, get things done to the best of her ability, because that's what a mama bear does. She's gonna get it done and make sure that you eat. But there's a lot of like things that are gonna go by the wayside. There's a lot of things that are gonna slip through the cracks. And eventually you have enough water that slips through the crack of a dam and the dam breaks open. That's not what a man is supposed to do. He's supposed to be able to see the crack and then go straight forward. He may got to swim to the bottom of the dam. That's a problem in itself. You need to be able to be confident in yourself to say, I can make it to the bottom of the dam, and then I can fix the crack when I get there. Your mom in that circumstance she doesn't really have it to be able to go work, take care of you, and then take care of herself, and then also be able to like get to the bottom of that dam at the same time. That's a different level of like energy, or by the time she gets to it, damages have already got to a point to where we may not have lost everything, but there's some healing that needs to be done. That's the point of having that father, to be able to see him, be able to see a problem, keep his cool, and then go all in. That's another thing. I mean, I've kind of like, I attribute this to God just, blessing me, but I've always been able to like keep my composure, right? But women are a lot more emotional. So us being taught by our moms or our grandmothers, you become so emotional. And it's like men being emotional, that's just like, not emotional in a sense to where you don't have feelings, because you should, but you should always think logical in most cases to be able to get things done. It's called emotional intelligence. Meaning that you can feel how you feel, but you still think with your head to be able to think clearly rather than reacting out of emotions. These are things that are causing you to stumble. These are things that are preventing you from getting to the next step. Like your lack of accountability, who you are and the characteristics that you have, your passiveness, and then your ability to manage your emotions is preventing you from getting to the next level. It's not that the business itself doesn't work. It's not that the skill doesn't work, whether it be that you're trying to grow a business or you're trying to like learn a skill like trading or something like that. It is not that that doesn't work. It's just that you lack the appropriate skills that you need to be able to get there. And a lot of that comes from, not being able to have that dad to be able to teach you certain things. But eventually it gets to a point, you have to go back to step one, which is accountability, where you say, hey, I didn't have it, but I'm not gonna allow that to be an excuse to not let me get to where I need to go. Because like being a man, you are able to think very like black and white. And this is where excuses and accountability come in. It's like, all right, this is what needs to get done, right? I need to be able to provide in this area. That is a fact. Okay, now let's look at you, right? I'm a person who is very passive. I don't know what I need to do. I don't have the confidence to be able to say that I need to provide. So this is true, and then this is true. Now, which one do you want to work towards? Is black and white. Either you provided or you didn't. And then your reasons for why you didn't provide, or the reasons why you succeeded and didn't succeed, it doesn't matter. It's either you did or you didn't. That's like a different level of like, that's the type of thing that your dad was supposed to be able to teach you. It's not allowing you to be able to give yourself that gray area and that space to be able to skate through when you do or do not make it to what you said you were wanting to do. So I'm not gonna go too long in this video. I just pretty much want to say, if you didn't have a dad, I definitely understand it. I mean, majority of us didn't have one. So it sucks to be a part of that statistic. But at the end of the day, it's gonna be very in black and white about the result that you produce in this world. And you cannot allow the fact that you didn't have a dad to be a reason why you don't get to where you need to go. Now, it can make things a lot harder for you. It can make things a lot longer for you, but at the end of the day, you still got to work towards that. And you not having those skills are not an excuse for you being able to treat people any type of way. It's not going to be an excuse for you to become a failure in life. It's not going to be an excuse for you to be able to use in any circumstance. That has to go back to the accountability number one of what we're talking about. And that's all I got to say. Like this video, comment below, subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know what you got going on and I'll talk about it. All right, peace.